What if the key to peace lies not in controlling outcomes, but in letting them go? This might sound counterintuitive in a world that constantly pushes us to strive, achieve, and hold tightly to our expectations. But what if the very act of releasing our grip could unlock a deeper sense of calm and resilience? Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most renowned Stoic philosophers, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. These words remind us that while we can't control what happens around us, we can always choose how we respond. Today, we're diving into the Stoic practice of detaching from outcomes, a concept that might just transform the way you approach life's challenges. In a time when stress and anxiety seem to dominate our daily lives, this ancient wisdom offers a refreshing perspective. By focusing on what's within our control and letting go of what isn't, we can cultivate emotional freedom, presence, and a profound sense of inner peace. Throughout this video, we'll explore how detachment isn't about giving up or being indifferent. It's about embracing resilience, staying grounded in the present moment, and finding strength in the face of uncertainty. Whether you're navigating a difficult decision, dealing with disappointment, or simply seeking a calmer mindset, this practice has the power to shift how you experience life. So let's take a closer look at what it truly means to detach from outcomes and how it can help you live with greater clarity and purpose. Stoicism begins with a simple yet profound truth: not everything is within your power. This idea, known as the Dichotomy of Control, is the cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. It teaches us to clearly distinguish between what we can influence and what lies beyond our reach. At its core, this principle isn't about resignation or passivity. It's about redirecting our energy toward what truly matters, our own thoughts, choices, and actions. As the Stoic teacher Epictetus famously put it, some things are within our power while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, and aversion. In a word, whatever is our own doing. Think about it this way: you can't control whether it rains on the day of your outdoor event, but you can control how you prepare for it, whether you bring an umbrella or adjust your plans. Similarly, you can't control how others perceive you, but you can control how you respond to their opinions. This shift in focus from external outcomes to internal mastery is what allows us to detach from the results we often obsess over. It's not about ignoring the world around us, it's about recognizing where our power truly lies. Let's take a modern example. Imagine you've applied for a job you're passionate about. You've done everything in your control, polished your resume, prepared for the interview, and presented your best self, but the final decision, that's out of your hands. Stoicism would encourage you to focus on the effort you put in, not the outcome. If you don't get the job, it's not a reflection of your worth or effort. It's simply a result of factors beyond your control. By embracing this mindset, you free yourself from the weight of disappointment and open the door to resilience and growth. So, where in your life do you find yourself struggling with control? Is it in relationships, career goals, or even your daily routines? Take a moment to reflect on one area where you feel the tension between what you can and can't influence. Recognizing this distinction is the first step toward cultivating a sense of peace and clarity, no matter what life throws your way. This Stoic approach doesn't just help us navigate setbacks, it also empowers us to live more intentionally. When we stop trying to control the uncontrollable, we create space for what truly matters: our own growth, our values, and our ability to respond to life with grace and strength. And that's where the real power lies. Imagine a life where external events no longer dictate your happiness. Sounds freeing, doesn't it? This is the essence of emotional freedom through detachment, a core principle of Stoicism. When we stop tying our sense of well-being to outcomes we can't control, we unlock a profound sense of inner peace. Seneca, one of Stoicism's greatest thinkers, put it this way: we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. In other words, much of our emotional turmoil comes not from the events themselves, but from our attachment to how we think things should be. Detachment doesn't mean we stop caring or striving. Instead, it's about shifting our focus from the uncontrollable to what we can influence, our own mindset and reactions. Take Seneca's own life as an example. When he was exiled to Corsica by the Roman Emperor Claudius, he didn't let despair consume him. Instead, he used the experience as an opportunity to reflect, write, and deepen his understanding of Stoic principles. By detaching from the outcome whether he would ever return to Rome, he found a way to thrive even in adversity. His exile became a testament to the power of emotional resilience. This idea isn't just ancient wisdom, it's incredibly relevant today. Think about a time when you felt anxious or upset because something didn't go as planned. Maybe it was a missed promotion, a failed relationship, or even a cancelled trip. In those moments, it's easy to feel like your happiness is tied to that specific outcome. But what if, instead of resisting the situation, you could accept it and focus on how you choose to respond? That's where detachment becomes a tool for emotional freedom. It's not about suppressing your feelings, it's about not letting those feelings control you. Seneca often reminded his readers that life is inherently unpredictable. He wrote, "Fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling." In other words, we can either fight against the natural flow of life or we can learn to move with it. When we detach from the need for things to go a certain way, we open ourselves to the possibility of finding joy and meaning in whatever comes our way. So, how can you start practicing this kind of detachment in your own life? Begin by reflecting on a situation where you feel emotionally tied to a specific outcome. Ask yourself, what am I truly afraid of losing? Is it the outcome itself or the story I've attached to it? By questioning these attachments, you create space to respond with clarity and calm, rather than reacting out of fear or frustration. Emotional freedom isn't about avoiding challenges, it's about facing them with a steady mind and an open heart. When we detach from outcomes, we're not giving up, we're choosing to live with greater resilience, presence, and peace. And that's a choice that can transform not just how we handle life's ups and downs, but how we experience life itself. The present moment is all we truly have. Stoicism teaches us to embrace it. In a world that constantly pulls our attention toward the future or the past, the practice of detachment brings us back to the here and now. When we let go of our fixation on outcomes, we free ourselves from the endless cycle of what-ifs and if-onlys. Instead, we learn to anchor ourselves in the present where life is actually happening. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "Do not disturb yourself by picturing your life as a whole." Do not let your imagination be crushed by life as a whole, but ask yourself, what is there in this that is unbearable and unendurable? His words remind us that much of our anxiety stems from projecting ourselves into hypothetical futures or dwelling on past regrets. By focusing on the present, we reclaim our peace. Consider this: when you're preparing for a big presentation, it's easy to get caught up in worrying about how it will go. Will the audience like it? Will you stumble over your words? What if you forget a key point? These thoughts pull you out of the present and into a future that hasn't even happened yet. Stoicism invites us to shift our focus. Instead of obsessing over the outcome, we can concentrate on the preparation itself, the act of practicing, refining, and delivering the material. By doing so, we not only reduce anxiety but also perform better, because our energy is directed toward what we're doing right now, not what might happen later. This principle applies to countless aspects of life. Think about a time when you were fully present, maybe while enjoying a meal, having a meaningful conversation, or even just taking a walk. In those moments, you weren't distracted by worries or regrets. You were simply there, experiencing life as it unfolded. That's the power of presence. It's not about ignoring the future or the past. It's about recognizing that the present is where we have the most influence and where we can find the most joy. Marcus Aurelius also observed, "The present is all that they can give up, since that is all you have, and what you do not have you cannot lose." This insight underscores the fleeting nature of time. The past is gone and the future is uncertain. All we truly have is this moment. When we detach from outcomes, we stop trying to control what we can't and start fully engaging with what we can: our actions, our thoughts, and our choices right now. So take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you felt completely present? How did it feel to be fully immersed in the experience, free from distractions or worries? By cultivating this kind of mindfulness, we not only reduce stress but also deepen our connection to life itself. Detachment isn't about disengaging, it's about engaging more fully with the present, where our true power lies. And in doing so, we discover a richer, more meaningful way to live. Failure isn't the end, it's a chance to grow, according to Stoic philosophy. This perspective might feel counterintuitive in a culture that often equates failure with defeat. But for the Stoics, setbacks aren't something to fear or avoid. They're opportunities to strengthen our character and deepen our understanding of ourselves. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most influential teachers, compared life to a philosopher's school where challenges are the lessons. He said, "Difficulties are things that show what men are." In other words, it's not the failure itself that defines us, it's how we respond to it. Think about it. When something doesn't go as planned, it's easy to feel like the world is against you. But Stoicism invites us to see failure differently. Instead of viewing it as a reflection of our worth, we can see it as an external event, something that happens to us, not something that defines us. This shift in mindset is what builds resilience. By detaching from the outcome, we free ourselves from the fear of failure and open ourselves to the lessons it offers. Take the story of a modern entrepreneur, for example. Imagine someone who launches a startup, pours their heart into it, and still sees it fail. It's a crushing experience, no doubt. But what if, instead of seeing it as the end of their journey, they viewed it as a stepping stone? Maybe they learned valuable lessons about leadership, market trends, or their own strengths and weaknesses. Those insights could become the foundation for their next venture, one that's even more successful. This is the essence of Stoic resilience, using failure as a tool for growth, not a reason to give up. Epictetus also reminds us that adversity is like a tough trainer. He wrote, "Just as fire tests gold, so does adversity test strong men." In other words, challenges aren't here to break us, they're here to reveal our strength. When we detach from the need for everything to go perfectly, we can approach failure with curiosity rather than fear. What can this experience teach me? How can I grow from it? These are the questions that turn setbacks into stepping stones. So, what about you? Think about a time when you faced a failure or setback. What did you learn from it? Maybe it was a project that didn't go as planned, a relationship that ended, or a goal you didn't achieve. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, consider what you gained. Did it teach you patience, perseverance, or humility? Did it help you clarify your priorities or discover a new direction? By reframing failure as a teacher, you not only build resilience but also cultivate a mindset that sees every challenge as an opportunity. Resilience isn't about avoiding failure, it's about embracing it as part of the journey. When we detach from the need for everything to go perfectly, we open ourselves to the possibility of growth, even in the face of disappointment. And that's where true strength lies, not in never falling, but in rising every time we do. What if your worth wasn't tied to others' opinions? Imagine a life where your sense of value comes from within, rather than being shaped by the approval or disapproval of those around you. This is one of the most liberating aspects of Stoic philosophy, learning to detach from external validation. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This simple yet profound observation highlights a universal truth. We often place more weight on what others think of us than on our own self-assessment. But what if we could shift that balance? Stoicism teaches us that true self-worth comes from aligning with our own values and principles, not from the fleeting judgments of others. When we seek validation externally, we give away our power, allowing others to dictate how we feel about ourselves. But when we detach from this need for approval, we reclaim that power. We begin to live authentically, guided by our own sense of purpose rather than the ever-changing opinions of the world around us. Consider the modern example of social media. How often do we post something and then anxiously check for likes, comments, or shares? Each notification can feel like a tiny validation or a subtle rejection. But here's the thing, those reactions don't define your worth. They're just external signals, often influenced by factors completely outside your control. Stoicism invites us to step back from this cycle. Instead of seeking approval through likes, we can focus on creating content that aligns with our values regardless of how it's received. This shift doesn't mean we stop caring about others. It means we stop letting their opinions control us. Marcus Aurelius also reminds us, you don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you. In other words, the opinions of others only have as much power as we give them. If someone criticizes you, it's not the criticism itself that hurts, it's your reaction to it. By detaching from the need for external validation, you can choose how to respond. You can take constructive feedback without letting it shake your confidence, or you can dismiss baseless judgments without letting them linger in your mind. So, how often do you find yourself seeking approval from others? Is it in your career, your relationships, or even your hobbies? Take a moment to reflect on why that approval feels so important. Is it because you're unsure of your own worth, or because you've been conditioned to believe that others' opinions matter more than your own? By questioning these patterns, you can start to break free from the cycle of seeking validation and begin to cultivate a deeper, more authentic sense of self-worth. Detaching from external validation doesn't mean isolating yourself or becoming indifferent to others. It's about finding a balance, recognizing that while feedback and connection are valuable, they shouldn't define your sense of self. When you stop looking outward for approval, you create space to look inward. You begin to live in alignment with your own values, free from the constant pressure to meet others' expectations. And in that space, you'll find a kind of freedom and confidence that no amount of external validation can ever provide. Acceptance isn't resignation, it's a powerful act of clarity. At its core, Stoic detachment isn't about giving up or turning a blind eye to reality. It's about seeing things as they truly are and choosing to align ourselves with that truth. This might sound simple, but it's one of the most transformative practices in Stoic philosophy. Epictetus, the Stoic teacher, famously used the analogy of a dog tied to a cart to illustrate this idea. He said, if you tie a dog to a cart, it can either run willingly with it or be dragged. Either way, it's going where the cart goes. The point, life, like the cart, moves forward whether we resist or not. Acceptance is about choosing to move with it rather than being dragged along in frustration or despair. This doesn't mean we stop striving or caring. Instead, it's about recognizing the difference between what we can change and what we must accept. Think of it like this. If you're caught in a rainstorm, you can't stop the rain, but you can choose to put on a raincoat or find shelter. Acceptance is that raincoat. It doesn't change the weather, but it changes how you experience it. By embracing what we cannot control, we free ourselves from the exhausting struggle of trying to bend reality to our will. Take the story of Cato the Younger, a Stoic philosopher and politician in ancient Rome. When his political efforts to preserve the Roman Republic failed, he didn't rage against the outcome or wallow in despair. Instead, he accepted the reality of the situation with dignity and grace. His acceptance wasn't passive, it was a deliberate choice to face the truth without letting it break him. This kind of acceptance isn't easy, but it's profoundly empowering. It allows us to meet life's challenges with strength and clarity, rather than being consumed by frustration or regret. So, what does this look like in everyday life? Imagine you're stuck in traffic. You can't control the cars around you or the delays they cause, but you can control how you respond. Do you spend the time fuming and stressed, or do you accept the situation and use the time to listen to a podcast, reflect, or simply breathe? Acceptance shifts your focus from what's outside your control to what's within it, your mindset, your choices, and your ability to adapt. Epictetus also reminds us, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. This is the essence of acceptance, doing what you can with what you have and letting go of the rest. It's not about ignoring problems or pretending everything is fine. It's about facing reality head-on with a clear mind and an open heart. Now take a moment to reflect. What's one aspect of your life that you struggle to accept? Is it a situation at work, a relationship dynamic, or even a personal limitation? By identifying what you resist, you can begin to explore how acceptance might bring you peace. Remember, acceptance isn't about giving up, it's about finding the clarity and strength to move forward, no matter what life throws your way. And in that clarity, you'll discover a deeper sense of freedom and resilience. Inner peace isn't found in the world, it's found within. This is one of the most profound truths Stoicism offers us. While it's tempting to believe that peace comes from achieving certain goals, acquiring possessions, or gaining approval from others, the Stoics remind us that true tranquility arises from within. It's not about changing the world around us, it's about changing how we relate to it. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." His words point us toward a simple yet powerful truth. Inner peace comes from letting go of our attachment to external events and focusing instead on our own thoughts and choices. At its heart, Stoicism teaches us that our peace of mind is determined not by what happens to us, but by how we interpret and respond to it. When we detach from the need for things to go a certain way, we free ourselves from the constant tug of desire and disappointment. This doesn't mean we stop caring or striving. It means we stop letting external outcomes dictate our emotional state. Think of it like sailing. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. By focusing on what's within your control, your mindset, your reactions, your values, you create a sense of calm that no external storm can shake. Seneca often spoke about the importance of avoiding unnecessary desires, which he saw as a major source of inner turmoil. He wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This insight is especially relevant in today's world, where we're constantly bombarded with messages telling us we need more money, more success, more possessions. But Stoicism invites us to question these desires. Do they truly bring us peace, or do they keep us trapped in a cycle of wanting and worrying? By detaching from these external markers of success, we can find contentment in what we already have. Let's take a modern example: financial uncertainty. Many of us have experienced the stress of not knowing how we'll pay the bills or whether our investments will succeed. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by these concerns, but Stoicism offers a different perspective. Instead of fixating on the outcome, whether the market will rise or fall, we can focus on what's within our control, our spending habits, our ability to adapt, and our mindset. By detaching from the need for financial security to bring us peace, we can cultivate a sense of calm even in the face of uncertainty. This doesn't mean ignoring practical concerns. It means not letting them dominate our emotional well-being. So, what disrupts your inner peace? Is it the fear of failure, the pressure to meet others' expectations, or the constant pursuit of more? Take a moment to reflect on how detachment might help. What would it feel like to let go of the need for things to go a certain way and instead focus on how you choose to respond? By shifting your perspective in this way, you can begin to cultivate a deeper, more lasting sense of tranquility, one that isn't dependent on external circumstances but rooted in your own inner strength. Inner peace isn't something you find, it's something you create, and the key to creating it lies in detachment. When we stop tying our happiness to outcomes we can't control, we open ourselves to a profound sense of calm and clarity. This is the gift Stoicism offers us, the ability to find peace not in the world around us but within ourselves. And in that space, we discover a freedom that no external event can ever take away. Life is unpredictable. Stoicism teaches us to embrace that truth. It's human nature to crave certainty, to want to know exactly how things will unfold. We make plans, set goals, and try to map out our lives as if we can control every detail. But the reality is, life rarely goes according to plan, and the more we cling to the illusion of certainty, the more we set ourselves up for anxiety and disappointment. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "Everything is ephemeral, both what remembers and what is remembered." His words remind us that nothing in life is permanent, not our successes, our failures, or even our plans. The sooner we accept this, the freer we become. Our attachment to certainty often stems from a desire to feel safe and in control. We think that if we can predict the future, we can avoid pain and ensure happiness. But here's the paradox: the more we try to control the uncontrollable, the more we feel out of control. Think about it. How much time do you spend worrying about things that might never happen? What if the job interview doesn't go well? What if the relationship falls apart? What if the project fails? These what-ifs can consume us, pulling us out of the present and into a future that exists only in our minds. Stoicism invites us to let go of this need for certainty and instead focus on what we can do right now. Marcus Aurelius offers a powerful perspective on this. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." At first, this might sound morbid, but it's actually a call to live fully in the present. When we recognize the fragility and unpredictability of life, we stop wasting energy on trying to control it. Instead, we start appreciating the moments we have and making the most of them. This doesn't mean we stop planning or striving. It means we stop letting our plans dictate our peace of mind. Let's take a practical example: planning for retirement. It's wise to save and invest for the future, but how often do we let the uncertainty of that future market crashes, inflation, health issues keep us up at night? Stoicism would encourage us to do what we can: save responsibly, make informed decisions, and then let go of the rest. After all, no amount of worrying will change the outcome. By detaching from the need for certainty, we free ourselves from the anxiety that comes with trying to predict the unpredictable. So, how does your need for certainty show up in your life? Do you find yourself overthinking decisions, fearing the unknown, or feeling anxious when things don't go as planned? Take a moment to reflect on how this attachment might be affecting your peace of mind. What would it feel like to let go of the illusion of control and embrace life's inherent uncertainty? By doing so, you might just find a deeper sense of calm and resilience, one that isn't dependent on how things turn out, but on how you choose to face them. Stoicism doesn't ask us to stop caring or planning. It simply asks us to recognize that life is full of twists and turns, and that our peace of mind doesn't have to be one of them. When we detach from the need for certainty, we open ourselves to the beauty of the unknown, and in that space, we discover a freedom that no amount of control could ever provide. The journey matters more than the destination. This is a Stoic truth. At first glance, it might seem counterintuitive. After all, we're often taught to measure success by outcomes, the grades we earn, the promotions we secure, the goals we achieve. But Stoicism invites us to shift our focus. It's not about dismissing results entirely. It's about recognizing that the true value lies in the effort we put forth, the intentions we hold, and the character we build along the way. As Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that while we can't always control the results, we can always control our effort and attitude. Stoicism teaches that virtue, living in alignment with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline, is the highest good. And virtue isn't about outcomes, it's about how we show up in the process. When we focus on doing our best, regardless of the result, we align ourselves with Stoic principles. This mindset not only reduces our attachment to external rewards, but also frees us from the anxiety of needing everything to go perfectly. Think of it like this: if you've ever poured your heart into a project only to see it fall short of your expectations, you might have felt disappointment. But what if, instead of focusing on the outcome, you celebrated the effort itself? The late nights, the creative problem solving, the growth you experienced, those are the things that truly matter. Let's take a modern example. Imagine you're an artist working on a painting. You spend weeks perfecting every detail, experimenting with colors, and pouring your soul into the piece. When it's finished, you submit it to a gallery, but it's not selected for the exhibition. It's easy to feel disheartened, but Stoicism would encourage you to focus on what you gain from the process. Did you learn new techniques? Did you discover something about your creative voice? Did you find joy in the act of creating? These are the real rewards, the ones that no rejection can take away. By valuing effort over results, you cultivate resilience and a deeper sense of fulfillment. Epictetus offers a powerful perspective on this. He wrote, "What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about things." In other words, it's not the rejection or failure that hurts, it's the meaning we attach to it. When we shift our focus from the outcome to the effort, we change how we interpret these experiences. Instead of seeing them as failures, we see them as opportunities to grow and learn. This shift in mindset doesn't just reduce stress, it also empowers us to keep moving forward no matter what happens. So, what about you? Can you think of a time when you valued effort over results? Maybe it was a project at work, a personal goal, or even a relationship. What did you learn from the process, regardless of how it turned out? By reflecting on these experiences, you can begin to see how effort itself holds immense value, not just as a means to an end, but as a source of growth, joy, and resilience. Stoicism doesn't ask us to stop striving or setting goals. It simply asks us to remember that the real reward lies in the effort we put forth. When we detach from the need for specific outcomes, we free ourselves to enjoy the journey, and in doing so, we discover a deeper, more enduring sense of fulfillment. After all, life isn't about reaching the destination, it's about how we travel the path, and that's where the true joy lies. Healthy relationships thrive on acceptance, not control. This might sound surprising, especially in a world where we're often told that love means holding on tightly. But Stoicism offers a different perspective. True connection comes from letting go of the need to control how others think, feel, or act. Instead of clinging to expectations, we're invited to focus on what we can control: our own attitudes, actions, and responses. As Seneca once wrote, "If you wish to be loved, love." His words remind us that the foundation of any strong relationship isn't about demanding certain behaviors or outcomes. It's about cultivating genuine care and understanding, free from the weight of unmet expectations. At its core, Stoicism teaches us to value people for who they are, not for what they do or how they meet our needs. This doesn't mean we stop caring or setting boundaries. It means we stop tying our happiness to how others behave. Think about it. How often do conflicts arise because someone didn't act the way we wanted them to? Maybe a friend forgot to call, a partner didn't notice something important, or a family member said something hurtful. These moments can feel like personal failures, but Stoicism invites us to see them differently. Instead of reacting with frustration or disappointment, we can choose to respond with compassion and clarity, recognizing that others' actions are ultimately beyond our control. Seneca's writings on friendship are particularly insightful here. He believed that true friendship is rooted in mutual respect and shared values, not in what we can gain from the relationship. He wrote, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity." In other words, the value of a relationship lies in the connection itself, not in the specific outcomes it produces. When we detach from the need for others to meet our expectations, we create space for deeper, more authentic bonds. We learn to appreciate people for who they are, not for how they make us feel or what they do for us. Let's take a practical example: navigating a disagreement with a loved one. Imagine you're having a heated argument and the other person says something that feels dismissive or hurtful. It's easy to react defensively, to demand an apology or try to control their response. But Stoicism would encourage a different approach. Instead of focusing on what they said or did, you could focus on your own reaction. How can you respond with calm and clarity? How can you express your feelings without attaching them to a specific outcome? By detaching from the need to win the argument or change the other person's behavior, you create an opportunity for understanding and growth, both for yourself and for the relationship. So, how might detachment improve your relationships? Take a moment to reflect on a connection in your life where expectations often lead to tension or disappointment. What would it feel like to let go of those expectations and simply appreciate the person for who they are? By practicing this kind of detachment, you might just find that your relationships become more peaceful, more fulfilling, and more resilient. After all, love isn't about control, it's about acceptance. And in that acceptance, we discover the true strength of our connections. As we come to the end of this exploration, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've uncovered. Detachment, as the Stoics teach us, isn't about giving up or disengaging from life. It's about embracing it fully without being ruled by the outcomes we can't control. It's about finding strength in presence, resilience in the face of uncertainty, and peace in the midst of life's inevitable ups and downs. These principles aren't just ancient wisdom, they're timeless tools for living a more intentional, grounded, and fulfilling life. At the heart of Stoicism lies a simple yet profound truth: life is impermanent. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This isn't a call to live in fear, but to live with purpose. When we recognize the fleeting nature of life, we stop wasting energy on things that don't truly matter. We focus instead on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our ability to respond to life with grace and clarity. This is the essence of detachment, not indifference but freedom. Think about how these ideas might apply to your own life. Where do you feel the weight of expectations or the fear of failure holding you back? What would it look like to let go of those attachments and focus instead on the effort, the process, and the present moment? By practicing detachment, you're not giving up on your goals or relationships, you're simply freeing yourself from the need for them to go a certain way. And in that freedom, you'll find a deeper sense of peace and resilience. So, as you move forward, consider how you can bring these Stoic principles into your daily life. Start small. The next time you face a challenge, pause and ask yourself, what's within my control? When you feel the pull of worry or frustration, remind yourself to return to the present moment. And when life doesn't go as planned, remember that it's not the outcome that defines you, it's how you choose to respond. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear your thoughts. How do you see detachment playing a role in your life? What challenges or insights have you experienced along the way? Share your reflections in the comments below. I'd love to continue this conversation with you. And if you found this video helpful, consider subscribing for more insights on Stoicism and living with intention. Together, let's explore how these ancient ideas can help us navigate the complexities of modern life with clarity, purpose, and peace. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Here's to living with greater presence, resilience, and freedom.